Good morning, good afternoon, fellow ruminators. Welcome back to another session, Rumination with Andrew. Thank you so much for joining as we are about to discuss a very important topical matter. And all I can say is vote GLP in a DISA election, JLP in a DISA election. And we can see that Andrew Holness is on a path for victory if he continues to keep crime and violence on a downward trend. Now, people are suggesting, including the Gleaner this morning, that crime and violence, particularly murders, are on a downward trend in Jamaica under the Andrew-led administration, right? So we can see where Andrew Holness is showcasing himself, is on display as the best prime minister Jamaica has ever seen. He's not only speaking that by word of mouth because it's action, right? It's action Andrew Holness. It's not only action and we have action Andrew. And action Andrew is doing a fantastic job in terms of, prodding Jamaica's population, Jamaica's economy along, right? He's prodding the economy along. We can see that he has earned himself as the man who has moved Jamaica from poverty to prosperity, right? He has prospered the Jamaican economy. As a result of that, we can see that there is a significant reduction in murders, right? In brutal murders that were committed in Jamaica in 2024. Now, that is what the statistics are suggesting. Now, do you believe that? Do you think that murders are on the decline? Do you think that they are reducing? Because I think that according to the Gleaner, let me open the Gleaner this morning because, the Gleaner brought forward a story this morning, I should say, and it was suggesting that there's no need to question the the information coming out of the Prime Minister's office. It says no need for questioning, right? Let me see if I not able to opening. Why is this ad coming on my thing now? So let me see if I can go back into the. I'm going to reopen the article because there are ads on the article. I'm not able to pull it up. So please bear with me as I look at the article. So the Gleaner is suggesting that crime and violence, or the murder rates, have gone down for 2024. Not for now, because we just started 2025, but for 2024, there was a significant reduction in murders, for the crime statistics. That's what the editorial stated. Last year's reported 19% reduction in murders, meaning that 265 fewer people were intentionally killed in Jamaica than in 2023. Are important statistics which the vast majority of the island's citizens will unquestionably be happy were achieved. So we have 265 fewer people who died. So there is a reduction, 19% reduction in violent crimes that were tallied up, that were recorded in 2023. And now the Gleaner is projecting that there are several reasons why this is significant, not at least, which is the sanctity Jamaicans overwhelmingly place on human life. Do Jamaicans place sanctity on human life? Or maybe the majority, but there is a minority, I should say, that do not. Notwithstanding social optics that sometimes suggest the opposite. Further, the decline in homicides, if it is sustained, is good for the country's sense of security. And I'm happy that the Gleaner used this condition if it is sustained. And I'm here projecting this morning that if this downward trend in the murder rate is sustained by the Andrew-led administration, there is no way that he's going to lose the election because people want to feel safe. One of the primary concerns of most Jamaicans is the lack of security in their own country. Now, if you're a daily viewer or user, I should say, of social media, all or most of the RIPs that you see on TikTok and Instagram and on YouTube are for young people, right? For those in their teens and early 20s, early 30s. Most people in their older that 50, 60 and above are not the ones who are being slaughtered. So we have a serious problem in Jamaica. And we often talk hypocritically about the fact that the population is not growing, and yet still the population is aging. Yes, the population is aging if you are killing right? If you are unaliving, if you are disappearing, as it were, your young people, which Jamaica is doing clearly at the moment. Well, thankfully, in 2023, we had a slight reduction. I won't call it a significant reduction. 265 are just not. It's a lot in terms of human life. If we value human life, 265 is a lot, right? There's a lot of people whose lives have not been slaughtered because one human life is significant, just one. And when we're talking about the thousands of human lives that have been snuffed out over the years, over the decades that Jamaica has been an independent nation, we should be ashamed of ourselves. Just one. So yes, let me not downplay it. Let me not underestimate the fact that 265 fewer people are a lot, right? And should be significant. And I agree with the Prime Minister, that is a significant reduction in crime and violence. We have to be fair. Now, it means therefore, does it mean therefore that he doesn't have lots of work to do? Yes. Now, I like to ask the question because, I like to think critically. How did this happen? Because we have not yet seen a credible, a master plan crime strategy. Haven't seen it. Maybe you have, but I haven't. The Gleaner hasn't published it. Maybe it is in some secret place hiding there, and we're not able to interact with that crime plan. However, I don't know, maybe the so-so, I'm suggesting here that the so-so, the state of emergency, and notice how countries like Trinidad and Tobago are now following our state of emergency because, last week, Trinidad and Tobago came out with a state of emergency, and in which I think the entire country or the two countries were under a state of emergency because of the high rates of crime and violence. I understand that last year, 2024, could have recorded in Trinidad and Tobago over 625 murders. Remember now that that island is much smaller than Jamaica. The Twin Republic Islands are smaller than Jamaica, and I think they have a population of 1.4 or 1.5 million people. So that's a lot to have been recorded in that small island. Indeed, the country's high crime rate, and particularly homicides, physically and psychologically, diminishes people's sense of freedom. It circumscribes their capacity or willingness to actively engage in community life. Now, that is very important. Not only does it circumscribe and it affects people's safety, but even the safety of foreigners. And they're suggesting that tourism is very, very important in our country. In fact, there's a report coming from the Observer this morning, which suggested that tourism is the lifeblood of the Jamaican economy. Tourism is the lifeblood of the Jamaican economy. That is what is being reported in the Observer this morning, in the Jamaica Observer this morning. So something very interesting to note. So if we do not have a safe Jamaica, then tourists are not going to perceive that they'll be safe on the island. So this is good news, and I think that the news should be spread abroad so people can have a sense of security. Also, for members of the diaspora who are desirous of returning home, if they see a downward trend in crimes, in violent murders, then they'll be able to make that decision. And it will help the country if they're bringing their investments and also their savings and, whatever they're spending, right? That will also help to boost Jamaica's economy. The murder statistics are important in another way. Given people's wish to preserve their own lives, they are the ones that have the greatest bearing on citizens' sense of security. And critically, data on homicides compared to all offenses are the ones that are most likely to represent the real state of the specific category of crime. So crime, murder rate is down. And we have to congratulate, we must commend the Andrew Holness-led administration for bringing this down. But this is no time to celebrate because, as I suggested, I have not seen a credible crime plan. So this could be something that is coincidental. It could be magical. I don't know, right? It could be divine intervention, as they have been praying for divine intervention. But of course, divine intervention comes with the willingness to listen to the voice of God and the willingness to repent. And Jamaica is an immoral society that does not value the lives of human beings, right? We are behaving as animals on that island because we have been snuffing out the lives of many people, and successive administrations have come and they have not really done anything about it. So we want to give Andrew Holness praise and we want to congratulate him on this modest reduction, significant in the sense that one human life is very precious. So it's significant that if we have 265 fewer people being slaughtered, that's good news. In that regard, this newspaper has no questions, as was asserted by the police chief, Kevin Blake, that crime data published by the Jamaica Constabulary Force, that's the JCF, are rigorously compiled, analyzed, and transparently shared with the public. Everything is rigorously done there, but I don't think that is true, because we understand also a lot of the murders that are committed in Jamaica, many of them are not reported. There are rumors, there are allegations in Jamaica coming from credible sources that a lot of the murders in Jamaica generally go unreported. So even though here in the public, for the public's perception and what the mainstream media are reporting, that 265 fewer murders, that might be true, it might not be true, according to what they have recorded. Remember now, the statistics is not something that is biblical, is not something that is definitive, is not something that we can say that is it is actually carved in stone. It is what people report. So if I don't report a huge portion of something that has happened, something that has occurred, then it means therefore that it will not be in that statistics. But you will suggest that, yes, this is true, but this is what we have. These are the numbers that we are privy to, but there are numbers that we might not be privy to, and those which are unreported are numbers evidently to which we are not privy. Now, indeed, the police's return in recent years to the regular publication and updating of crime statistics is a welcome development. This access enhances the ability of interested persons to analyze crime data, although the constabulary could improve its offering with additional breakout of data sets and trend analyses. Now, one of the things I want to know, is this an independent research? Are the members of the PNP, the opposition party, are they also in agreement with this or with these statistics? I am not sure. But I think that, and I need to hear more coming out of the University of the West Indies, more out of, and I would also have expected that the Gleaner would have done better reporting on this. Just, having an editorial is not sufficient. I would have expected that a journalist would have done comparisons and contrasts, looking at years before when the crime rate went down and when it went up, and comparing it and just juxtaposing it to what is happening now, to the current downward trend. I would have expected that, a seasoned journalist, a veteran journalist would have done something like that. But the Gleaner just had a short editorial, right? So it suggests that we're not serious. It suggests that this newspaper and the Jamaican elites are not serious about solving crime and violence, because there would have been some amount of investigative journalism in the paper this morning. And if I am clear, if I am certain, I was browsing the Jamaica Observer also, and I didn't see any mention of that, but there might have been. But this newspaper, having confidence in the police statistics, does not put them beyond question by individuals. So the Gleaner is suggesting that they have confidence in the police, right, in the Jamaica Constabulary Force. But they're suggesting that it does not put them beyond question by individuals, because there are individuals who might be questioning the crime statistics that have been mentioned here in the papers. Now, I thought that we need to look carefully at these statistics, and we need to analyze and to see if these things are what they're reporting, if what they're reporting is true. We have been hearing a lot of lies. And in fact, lots of people have had their family members' lives snuffed out. I brought to your attention during the Christmas the news story coming from Television Jamaica, of a young woman. Well, perhaps she could be mid-aged, but was she revealed the fact that 3 of her family members died in 1 year. Not to mention that also another lady on Waltham Park Road who also, I was about to speak Spanish, I was able to say who también, who also, right, who also had her family members. I think 4 or 3 people died in her family also. So you had that lady in Clarendon, and that mother also, whose husband and her 2 sons on Waltham Park Road, who lost their lives in crime and violence last year. So we have to be careful about celebrating the 265 fewer murders. Now, if you listen to what the Gleaner is saying, notably, even with 265 fewer murders in 2024, there were still 1,139 intentional homicides. Now, listen to what the Gleaner is saying, the editorial is saying, or 42 per 100,000. So we are still high, even though we have 265 fewer murders. And as the newspaper said, as the Gleaner suggested, 265 murders that were not intentionally done, but we still have, our statistics are still high. We are still ranking on about 42%, 42 per 100,000 murders. That's a high murder rate. I would say if we get our murder rate down to 20s, if we're in the 20, like 20 or even 25 per 100,000, then that would be significant. Even though it's still not something to celebrate because there are still lots of people still dying, but that the Prime Minister could say that is significant. But if we're moving from 46 or from 45 to 42, then I don't think that is something that we need to celebrate about. And the Gleaner, I'm happy that the Gleaner contextualized it, put it in proper perspective, because if you're just looking at 265 fewer murders, not seeing that it translates, when you tally all the murders committed in 2024 in Jamaica, in the land of Marcus Mosiah Garvey, we still are ranking at 42 per 100,000 murders committed in that country. So evidently, we have a lot of work to do. And there is no need to celebrate, but I'm sure that this is going to be politicized, and the Prime Minister is going to say that he is the one responsible for having brought our murder rate down. But is it down? Because when you look at the tabulation of murders worldwide, what these statistics always show, and they always pay close attention to, is the percent. When they talk about the 42 per 100,000 or the 20 per 100,000, that is what they use to rank it. So I'm sure we are still, if not in the top 3, we are definitely in the top 5. We should be now in the top 5, because 42 per 100,000 is still a high ranking. Still a high ranking. And it's for us to understand that and not to celebrate as if we have done something fantastic. Further, the optimists will be reminded that Jamaica has been here before. It periodically enjoys a downward dip. That is true, because even during the Dudas saga, after the Dudas, brouhaha, and after Dudas was captured and sent off to this and dispatched to the United States of America, there was a downward trend. I think that particular year it could have been 1,000 something. It wasn't a lot of, well, it was a lot of murders, but in comparison to the year before Dudas was sent away, crime had significantly been reduced. But when I went to Jamaica in 2010, after Dudas had been sent to the United States, I realized that police and soldiers were on the road. They had several states of emergencies there. So it doesn't mean, therefore, that because the government did something, or the government did something to have had that, or to have contributed, I should say, to that downward trend. There is no credible crime plan. And if there is no credible crime plan, then there cannot be a consistent downward trend. This will, as the Gleaner is suggesting, this reduction, this downward trend will be as a result of coincidence and the fact that we have been continuing the so-so, which really are states of emergency, which we need to stop. Because the more we do that, it's the more that Jamaicans' rights are going to be suspended, restricted, and taken away eventually for good. And some of us are thinking, you know, I had a friend of mine who was saying sometimes we have to give up our rights. But when you give up your rights to government strategists, they are going to take them away and they will not give them back to you. You must understand that. And if you haven't learned your lesson from what happened in 2020, I don't know when you will ever learn your lessons, because they are building on that infrastructure of taking away your rights. Look at what they did in Trinidad the other day. On Monday, people woke up. Was it Monday or Tuesday? On Monday, people just woke up and they were under a state of emergency in which the police can stop you at any point in your life and you can be imprisoned without any legal representation. So you've got to be very careful about what your government is doing. From a superficial perspective, yes, it sounds like it's good that government is trying to curb crime and violence. But when we look at the big picture, when we do our investigative analyses, we'll understand that crime and violence is an industry. And I would suggest that it is the lifeblood of the Jamaican economy. Sad to say, crime and violence is the lifeblood of Jamaica's or the Jamaican economy. Okay, sadly so. It's not something I'm saying that I'm proud of saying, right? It's something that I'm embarrassed to say, but that is the reality. And that is why the government is not taking it very seriously. Because if it does, then many people from top to bottom are going to lose their jobs and lose their gains, right? Their profits. So the Gleaner ends here by saying what Dr. Blake, I think he's the Commissioner of Police, suggests is different this time, is the improved professionalism and strategic orientation of the constabulary. So because of their fact that they're professional, crime is down. Come on. As well as the trust it has in recent years developed with the public. I don't know if the police have developed any trust with the Jamaican people. Do you? With the Jamaican public? Do you think they have developed some level of trust? I think the people on the give me a second. Sorry, I did not plug in ooh, yeah. Sorry about that. Hopefully I'm in. Oh, well, I'm in. Okay. Sorry about that. My battery went low. My batteries went low. So yeah, so I was suggesting here that I hope you're hearing me. I was suggesting here that I do not think that the public is actually they have this trust, this implicit trust and faith and confidence in the Jamaica Constabulary Force and the police force in Jamaica. I don't think so. But that is what Dr. Blake is reporting, that the police force are more professional and that the public is displaying greater trust, greater levels of trust in the police force. I don't think so, but that's what they're saying, and we can't negate that. I'm not on the grounds, and neither am I a police, and neither am I an expert on the security situation in Jamaica. But I wanted to present this to you, and I am here suggesting that there is no way that Andrew Holness is going to lose this election if he continues to keep the murder rate downward. With all of the other plans that he has, the Spark program and the road networks being improved upon, and he's styling it as an unprecedented achievement in Jamaica in terms of his fixing the roads, I don't see where he is going to lose the next general election, apart from some corrupt charges. But remember now that the PNP have to be careful, because that is what the Democratic Party were doing. They had nothing to offer the people. The Democrats had nothing substantive to offer the American people. So all they had to rely on were Trump's corruption charges and saying that he is a political convict. Right? And that did not win the election, could not win them the election. You have to come with substantive policies, and policies that will improve the lives of Jamaicans at large. Thank you so much for joining. I hope that you would like, share, and subscribe. Remember to like the video, and also leave a comment so that I can see what you're thinking. And also the comments help to prod and to push the video along. All the best to you. See you. Adios. Hasta luego.